So as we're waiting for folks to still come in, commissioners, as well as those who are currently attending, please don't forget to choose your language. We do have interpretation services for today's meeting. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the County of Los Angeles Citizen Redistricting Commission special meeting. Today is November 29th, 2021, and the time is 7 p.m. We will now call the special meeting to order. For this hearing, we have available interpretation services. For those who are joining via Zoom, please select your preferred language by clicking on the interpretation button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, which is the globe icon. Select English or Spanish. You then can choose to mute the original audio for clearer interpretation. If you do not choose a language, you will not hear the interpretation. As a reminder to the public, this public hearing is being recorded and live streamed to youtube.com/LA County Redistricting. The link to the recording will also be posted and accessible through the Los Angeles County Redistricting website. If at any time, any members of the public has any technical difficulties, please let us know in the Q&A and we can work towards fixing the issue. I will now take the roll. As a reminder, commissioner names will be called in a rotating alphabetical order by last name. Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. Commissioner John Bento.
Here.
Co-Chair Carolyn Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Dorina Wong.
Here.
Commissioner Jean Franklin.
Present.
Commissioner David Holtzman.
Present.
Commissioner Mary Kenny.
Here.
Co-Chair Daniel Maeda.
Present.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza.
Present.
Commissioner Apolonio Morales.
Present.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon.
Present.
Commissioner Priscilla Orpanella Segura. I believe she's not here. Commissioner Hylas Soto.
Present.
Commissioner Saida Soto.
Present.
And Commissioner Brian Setcher.
Present.
Great. A few notes regarding public comments before I hand it over to Co-Chair Williams. If you are interested in making a live public comment, you may submit in the Q&A your name, your affiliated organizations, if any, and that the agenda item you would like to make the public comment on. When you are called to make your public comment, you will be prompted to unmute your mic so you can speak. If you are participating via phone, press *9 to raise your hand. Once called upon, press *6 to unmute and speak. Each person will have one opportunity to speak for 1 minute per discussion or agenda item. When you begin making your comment, please share your name and any affiliation you may have. Again, the Q&A is for members of the public to sign up to make a live public comment. If you have additional comments you would like to make, including public comments for specific draft map options, they can be submitted to the public comment form. You can find the link in the chat or on the CRC website. Submitting to the public comment form will ensure your written comments are accurately recorded. Okay. As a reminder to those who are making public comments this evening, all oral public comments will be through audio only. There will be no sharing video option. Again, members of the public are encouraged to submit to the public comment form, even if they make oral public comments. On the public comment form, you can submit comments, but also indicate your position on draft map options. If you have specific recommendations on how to modify existing draft map options, please include in your public comments specific details, including names of cities, unincorporated areas, or communities and street names. Would you like me to go through a demonstration of the public comment form? Great.
That
I'll
would be
quickly
great.
go through that.
Yes, please.
So to access the public comment form, the link is already in the chat, but for those who are just entering into the Zoom, I will shortly enter it in the chat. But you can also access it through the CRC Redistricting website. So on the home page, you can click on Submit Comments for Meetings and Hearings, and this will open a new tab that will take you to the public comment form. From there, What you will need to fill in includes your first name, your last name. And so we can just do a quick demo. Then you will select, or here you can also upload any files that you may want to include, including any PDFs. Then you can click on the specific agenda item or draft map options you would like to make a public comment on. So for example, if we were to want to make a public comment on 5A, you would check 5A, click your position in favor, oppose, or other, and then you can enter in your comments, which is optional. From there, you will enter in, once you finish entering in all your public comments, you will enter in the security code at the bottom of the screen. Then you will click next. This will take you to a verification page. Okay. Once you are the verification page, you will need to click acknowledge. And once you click acknowledge, then your comments will be submitted. If you do not click acknowledge and only come to this verification page, your comments will not be submitted through. You will need to click on the acknowledge button. Okay. So with that, I will turn it over to Co-Chair Williams.
Thank you, Ty, for that. In terms of the agenda, there are no changes to the agenda, so the agenda is approved. Okay, action item 4, Co-Chair
Next
Mayor.
is consent items. Item 4 were to look at the approval of the minutes for the November 22nd meeting. Are there any questions, revisions, changes, suggested changes for the November 22nd draft minutes that have been circulated?
Commissioner Soto?
Yes, I would like to just make a change. I believe I voted to abstain for the approval of the November 15 and 17 meeting minutes.
Okay, we can make that change. Any other changes, suggested changes? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to have the minutes for the November 22nd meeting approved with Commissioner Soto's, Soto's changes. Is there such a motion?
I so move.
Commissioner Stetcher moves. Is there a second?
I second.
Commissioner Franklin seconds. Ty, can you call roll on that?
Okay. Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I will now take roll call. Co-Chair Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Franklin?
Yes.
Commissioner Holtzman?
Not voting.
Commissioner Kenny?
Yes.
Co-Chair Maeda?
Aye.
Commissioner Mendoza?
Aye.
Commissioner Morales?
Yes.
Commissioner Obregon?
Yes.
I believe Commissioner Priscilla Orpanella Segura still is not here, so we'll move on to Commissioner Soto,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandra Soto,
Yes.
Commissioner Stetcher,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bento. Commissioner Bento?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Beto. Motion passes. Next item is 5A. The meat of tonight's meeting is to discuss the draft map options. Before we get to public comment on this, Co-Chair Williams and I wanted to let the public know what's been happening as far as the ad hoc working groups, bring the full commission up to date on those working groups. I don't believe there's, Gayla, if you could just indicate if there's another slide or not. I don't think there's a slide, is there? Okay. Well,
There are a couple of slides, yes.
So what we did, you might recall from the last meeting, is we decided to break into two working groups to discuss two of the map options, map option B1 and map option F. Each of those working groups had 4 commissioners plus one of the co-chairs. Co-Chair Williams and I split up. I took on the work group that was looking at option B1. Co-Chair Williams took on the option F working group. And then I'll let her talk about about option F's process, but just briefly with regards to that working group for B1. We looked at B1 and we discussed some overall concepts about the map. And then we decided to move into specific suggestions from the public or from the COIs or whatever that we thought was appropriate to make modifications on. So there were suggestions by commissioners to make those modifications. And it took us a while to get going, but once we got going, I thought, we made a lot of progress in modifying B1, primarily in consolidating cities, avoid splitting cities and communities around the borders and between the between two or three different districts. There were some discussion, some suggestions made that there was no consensus, so we did not make those modifications. But everything that we did, all of our discussion, each change that we made, each change that was suggested but not made, all has been recorded, and those notes, I think, in a chart form, were also posted as part of the agenda. The end result was for us that we created essentially a modified option B1, which we then posted as 064, OP 064. And I will just indicate that we really only had time to make, the changes that we made, post it. We did not actually run through a check of that option. So these are we should think about them as concepts. Unfortunately, we did not actually get to further discussing map B1 in more broader conceptual ways. I know that I had wanted to talk about a variant kind of B1 that was option 50 or OP 50 before, and now that submitter has made 060. But we did not get there. But I'm excited to see that there is one of the other working group came up with a map that has some similarities to the 50-60 map as well. So I think we're making progress. But that's essentially the route that we did at our working group. Co-Chair Williams?
Okay, thank you, Co-Chair Maeda. Our working group focused on option F, and we followed the same process, but we actually learned from the process that the first working group did. So we started on the splits. We wanted to clean up all the splits that were there, whether it was across cities or neighborhoods. And from there, we had some discussions on making some modifications based on input from the public. Once we did that, what you will see is a modified option F. And as Co-Chair Maeda said, the information we used and the modifications we made are listed. And again, all of these were done by consensus. If there was no consensus, that change was not made. So once we've done that, we actually had time to think a little bit more conceptually about what might be done. And that is shown in modified option F, known as map number 066. So what I'd like to do is ask Commissioner Sandra Soto if she would give us some more information on the modifications that are now shown in modified option F.
Thank you, Co-Chair Williams. And the slide on the screen won't show sort of the details with cities and communities, but I think, again, we took the opportunity building on Map F as the base to really think about how we could strengthen in some ways some of the districts as they were drawn. And so we spent some time, again, in addition to cleaning up the edges, making sure we weren't splitting cities or communities of interest. We also spent some time looking at whether we can improve on compactness or really look at, especially as we were exploring District 3, which in the map F, where we started, we were going from the San Fernando Valley all the way to nearing Long Beach, or like the Palos Verdes Peninsula. And so we really wanted to think about, sort of in listening to communities say, well, we have very little in common with, San Fernando Valley and, coastal cities as we head south. Also thinking about that very sort of snaky path that was there with the coastal cities, Santa Monica, Marina del Rey, Redondo Beach, etc. We thought, well, we've heard from communities of interest in District 2 about LAX, and LAX really being considered an economic engine, right? And their, I think, idea of bringing LAX into District 2, which really left us with District 3 looking rather stretched. And so we, put out this concept in Map 66. What if we bring some of these coastal areas into District 2? And so, we, again, while this map is a concept, because we haven't yet made sure that it's going to be integrity check, that we want you to think about it, really take a look at how we can build on that idea, that concept of District 2 going all the way into the coast. And so I think in addition to that, we kept a close eye on making sure that we're not splitting communities of interest, making sure that we're also not impacting the strength of historic communities in District 2 and other districts by bringing forth this concept. And please take a look at that as we continue to explore and build on just these ideas that we've discussed as an ad hoc working group. We think it has potential. So I don't know if anyone from the ad hoc working group wants to add something to that.
I just want to add some points of clarification. And I just want to point out there were a couple of discrepancies between the worksheets. Commissioner Sandra Soto has already covered, as well as Co-Chair Williams and Co-Chair Daniel Maeda, the 10%, that these maps still need some fine tuning to get the 10% deviation correctly. A lot of the focus on all of them was to eliminate split cities and unincorporated areas where appropriate, to try to keep them together. But the other notes is map 064. There's a note 19, which indicated Cerritos, gateway cities, and Norwalk were moved to SD4 to balance the population and to increase the population SD4 that was not on the map. So that's something that the work group needs to look at. And then the other area had to do with Silmar, San Fernando, and part of Sun Valley and SD3. And on map 65, they were moved to SD5. On map 66, they were moved from SD5 to SD3, to Super Rural District 3. So again, refinements for you all to think about.
Okay, so I think at this point, why don't we take public comment, and then we'll have the commissioners dig into some of these issues.
And then after public comment, we can also open up the map so people can see more details. It looks like you may have a question of clarification, Commissioner Holtzman.
Yes.
Yes, you do. What did you mean by consensus in the work groups, the ad hoc work groups?
Well, I can only speak for the group that I was involved in. If there was, if we all agreed that made sense, it wasn't difficult in most cases because we're mostly talking about not splitting cities and communities. But there were some issues. So Carson, we had a big discussion about Carson. Where does Carson go? And there was not consensus to move it, and so we left it the way it was. But that's an open, what I consider to be an open issue about where Carson might go. So whether there was a significant discussion, we figured, okay, we'll just leave it for now. And then, to be revisited later with more commissioner input or whatever.
And the same thing happened in our work group. For the most part, we did not have any disagreements because we were in making sure that we were taking care of the splits first. We had a robust discussion when we started to talk about looking at the modified F portion. But as a group, we all agreed. I don't remember anyone disagreeing as we started to make those modifications. So when we said consensus, basically in our group, it referred to, we mostly agreed. And if there was some disagreement and we could not all come to a place where we agreed, that modification was not made. So what you're seeing is a result of commissioners agreeing that this is the direction that we wanted to go in.
Okay, so consensus was all in agreement, 100%.
It was from our map.
And our group too.
But just to be clear, I mean, this is not, the commission has not adopted any of these maps, right? These are concepts which we want to have public testimony on, and we will then have further discussion, and we'll see if any of these maps then put forward as the next letter in order. If the commission wants to do that. Okay. Seeing no other hands, why don't we go ahead and take public comment on this then?
Great. Let me go ahead and get things set it up. Okay. And just as a reminder for members of the public who are interested in making public comments, we encourage you all to put your name, your organization, and the specific agenda item in the Q&A. We do see a few hands, but we just want to make sure that we're recording everything properly. So if you can put in the Q&A your name, your organization, if any, and the specific agenda item you would like to make a public comment on. With that, we're going to start off with Stuart Waldman. Stuart, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Good evening, Commissioners. Stuart Waldman from VICA. I want to thank you for taking time out of your holiday week to draw those maps. And I know it was not easy, as many of us have been doing it hand by hand. We appreciate what you've done on map 64. We are in full support of that map. We think it adequately represents the valley and the rest of the city. I do agree with Co-Chair Maeda that I would like to see you explore map 60 and its previous version, map 50. I think it does the county a good service. We do not like map 65. It does disenfranchise the valley and takes the valley to a lower percentage in our districts that we represent, and makes it harder for us to elect folks. And map 66 is a good compromise. It's something a lot of people have been saying, take the best parts of B and the best parts of F and put them together. However, we do like 64 the most, but we appreciate all you've done.
Thank you,
I have a question for Mr. Waldman.
Yes, sir.
Could you possibly submit a shapefile showing what you mean by the San Fernando Valley? Because like when I was developing my map 70, which I submitted today, I wanted to overlay the San Fernando Valley and be able to easily calculate how many people from the valley were in the districts that I was proposing in map 70. So would you be able to do that, the shapefile?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that, and I'll send that to Ty first thing in the morning and make sure he gets that to you. And I would also encourage you to look at the USC website on neighborhoods, so you can look at neighborhood councils as well. I know you've got the boundaries for cities, but you should also have the boundaries for neighborhood councils.
I also see a hand from Commissioner Kenny.
Can I just make a comment? I was going to say we will be looking at neighborhood councils too.
I would just request that when that map of the valley is submitted to Ty, that it be shared with the entire commission.
Of course.
We should share with the public as well as part of our transparency.
Will do. Next week, thanks, Stuart. Next, we have Lawrence Muradashi. Lawrence, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good evening, commissioners. Thank you for all your hard work on this. I wanted to comment on draft map F, number 66. I feel that Claremont should remain in the first district, but I also, more importantly, wanted to question how La Habra Heights was included into the first district in this draft, because La Habra Heights, I grew up in the region. It's very distinct from the surrounding areas that were included, such as Hacienda Heights, Roland Heights, and I believe Diamond Bar. Having grown up in the region, we mentioned earlier about not splitting communities and the like. We never felt the Harbor Heights as being part of our community. For the longest time, I actually thought it was part of Orange County. So I think it does not fit into that region to have La Habra Heights included into the first district along with the other surrounding areas. It's a city of its own. It's not unincorporated like everything else around it. Hacienda Heights, Roland Heights being unincorporated. And again, having grown up there all the way from kindergarten to high school, I just never felt Hacienda Heights
Thank you, Lawrence.
was ever part of the community. Thank you.
Yes, before you leave, I just want to make sure I understand. Are you saying you want La Habra Heights to be in District 5 instead of 1?
I'm not sure how it could be part of District 5. As I understand it, that's Catherine Barker's district. I believe right now it's in District 4, which is Jazz Han's district.
Okay, so leave aside supervisors, but in terms of the map, I'm not sure where it is, so maybe that's the issue. Is it in the southeast part of San Gabriel Valley?
I don't even think it's part of San Gabriel Valley. For reference, it's on the border right before it hits Orange County. So it's next to Whittier. That helps. I think it belongs more to Whittier. Does that help?
All right, so I see where it is now. Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, thank you, Lawrence. Next, we have Isabel Gonzalez, then Jeanette Ellis-Royston. Isabel, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Isabel Gonzalez, and I'm a resident of South Los Angeles. I'm born and raised in South Central, and I'm a proud resident of my community. I call this evening to speak on behalf of the actions that my community needs this commission to take to safeguard the equitable representation of my community at the county level. I urge the commission to not consider Map B, as this map disproportionately boxes in Black and Latino residents into one district, therefore implementing an unbalanced representation that negatively impacts Black LA residents. As of today, Black residents continue to have the lowest vaccination rates, followed by Latino residents. Proper representation of both communities is not only fair, but necessary to address the ongoing and forthcoming challenges that COVID-19 continues to elevate. Map B prevents us from proper representation of both communities, and without proper representation, how can we guarantee that we're doing our best to serve the needs of all residents? I hope to be able to show my support of a map that is more centered in equity and fairness in the near future, but today I urge the commission to oppose Map B.
Thank you, Isabel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. Next, we have Jeanette Ellis-Royston, then Sandra Guzman. Jeanette, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute. So Jeanette, whenever you're ready, please unmute yourself. Jeanette, if you can hear me, you will need to unmute yourself before you make your public comment. Okay. Seems like Jeanette might not be with us. Jeanette, if you are there and you would like to make a public comment, please put your name in the Q&A again. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and move on to Sandra Guzman. And then after Sandra Guzman is Marlene Benrosto. Sandra, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself. And once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Hello, my name is Sandra Guzman, and I am a resident of South Los Angeles. And today I am calling to urge the Commission to not consider Map B in its redistricting process. I was born and raised in South LA. South LA is composed of low-income Black and Latinx residents that have together created unique and proud communities with legacy of fighters and survivors stemming from both Black and Brown communities. The implementation of Map B shrinks the voice of our community by cramming both Black and Latinx residents, thus reducing our Black community residents from having proper representation at the county level. I urge the Commission to not consider Map B, as this map aims to reduce the equitable representation of those in my community, and I look forward to be able to support a map that will center equity and justice for all LA County residents in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Next, we have Marlene Benrostro, then Ebony Abram. Marlene, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Marlene Benrostro. I work with Active San Gabriel Valley. We're a nonprofit dedicated to creating a more sustainable, equitable, and livable San Gabriel Valley. We want to thank the Commission for the work you've done so far. We support including Pomona with the rest of the San Gabriel Valley and SD1 in Map F. We request that Pomona remain part of SD1. Pomona shares similarities with other working class Latino majority cities in the San Gabriel Valley along the 10 and 60 freeway, like El Monte and Baldwin Park. Our communities care about environmental justice, our right to clean air, parks and open spaces, and active transportation options. We urge the Commission to not consider Map B. Map B has 3 districts where the white population has the highest citizen voting age population. We do not move forward with Map B as it would dilute the power of our historically oppressed communities of color. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlena. Next, we have Ebony Abram, then Chris Rowe. Ebony, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute.
Good evening. Thank you, Commissioners Ty and all of the CRC staff for all of your hard work. My name is Ebony Abram, calling on behalf of LA Voice and the People's Bloc in strong opposition to Map B1. Map B1 separates priority AAPI communities of interest in Central Los Angeles into 3 different districts, which is disheartening. It also packs the Black and Latinx community of excuse me, it also packs the Black community in South LA and the Latinx community in Southeast LA into 1 district, which reduces our ability to have more representation at the county level. As a resident of District 2, this is also very disheartening. So just calling in strong opposition to Map B1, asking you to please not move forward with Map B, as it would dilute the voices of historically oppressed communities and give us less chances of true representation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ebony. Next, we have Chris Rowe, then Maria Brenes. Chris, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and then you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello, it's Chris Rowe. I have submitted my comments to you, Commissioners. All of you have received a direct email from me. My comments are submitted in an article that came out tonight from City Watch LA. I am trying to do outreach to the city of LA because I have found that unless you're a member of a 501c, you're not getting noticed of these meetings. And the neighborhood councils are not aware. And I communicated with the Empower LA and found out that they just posted something on social media, but they didn't send it directly to the neighborhood council members. They put it on like their Facebook page or on Nextdoor. When I went on Nextdoor today, they posted your Wednesday meeting and next week's meeting, but not tonight's meeting. So I posted tonight's meeting, but only about an hour and a half ago. So this is one of the problems, is social groups are the nonprofits are heard, but the rest of us are not. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Next, we have Maria Brenes, then Michael Chi. Maria, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute.
This is Maria Brenes again with the Inner City Struggle. Thank you, Commissioners, for all your work the last few days. Although the commission decided not to move forward with Map A1, I appreciate Commissioner's recognition of many of Map A1's strongest elements, including respecting many historical communities of interest, such as the East Side and others. Map F does have key elements of Map A1, but further adjustments are needed. It is the strongest base map. I urge you to continue in Map F's general direction, accounting for added feedback, given the concerns expressed previously with Map B1 that specific maps should no longer be a viable option, particularly with the proposed negative impacts to voting rights in SD2. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. Next, we have Michael Chi, then Derek Steele. Michael, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Michael Chi, Director of Public Affairs for the City of Montebello. Thank you for your hard work and diligence in ensuring balanced representation within the county's redistricting process. The City of Montebello would like to state its preference in support of Map F as it's currently being proposed, primarily because it preserves a historic East Side and San Gabriel Valley cities perspective and relationships. The historic hyper-local relationships among these represented in this region have taken decades to build, nurture, and position our communities with one another in order to achieve measurable benefits for our local resident populations in working with our county partners and resources. It is our belief that the momentum and progress is best achieved when cities like Montebello are able to collaborate among our unique community of flavors, belief systems, temperaments, and so that we can continue to move forward in constructive ways. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Next, we have Derek Steele, then Brian Seki. Derek, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Derek Steele, and I am a resident of LA County. I work for the Social Justice Learning Institute, representing and working on behalf of Black and Brown youth and community members in Inglewood, Lenox, South LA, Compton, Long Beach, and so many other cities throughout LA County. And I urge the commission not to consider Map B, as this is the map that creates, this map only creates 2 districts where communities of color would be able to elect a candidate of their choice, while other maps allow for the creation of 3 districts where communities of color can have representation. LA County is on the path to be a more equitable future. And we have to make sure that the needs of the historically most impacted community members have intentional representation. Map B does not do that, with 3 districts having white population as the highest CVAC, citizen voting act population. That's not equity. And we would have loved A1. F is the next best. So please don't move forward with Map B, as it would dilute the voices of historically oppressed communities and give them less chances for representation. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your work.
Thank you, Derek. Next, we have Brian Seki, then Jackie Contreras. Brian, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Good evening, co-chairs Mayed and Williams and members of the commission. On behalf of the city of Whittier, my name is Brian Seki. I'm the city manager for the city. We'd like to thank the commission for all the hard work, time, and efforts gone into this process. I can only imagine the many sleepless nights that you've all had to endure as part of this process. But on behalf of the city of Whittier, we are recommending that the commission adopt proposed Map F. We work closely with nearby cities of Santa Fe Springs, La Mirada, Norwalk, Pico Rivera, Cerritos, Lakewood on a variety of water supply, water quality concerns, including our participation in the Southeast Water Coalition and Lower San Gabriel River Watershed Group. Most significantly, our ties with the city of Santa Fe Springs include school districts. We also provide policing services for the city of Santa Fe Springs and water as well to the city. So based upon all this, we urge the commission to consider these shared local priorities and request that you adopt proposed Map F. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. I see a hand for Commissioner Holtzman.
Yes, and Mr. Seki, I would appreciate if you had a look at Map 70, which I submitted today, because I think it also meets your criteria for keeping those cities together in one district.
Great, and those will be all on the website?
Yeah, with the redistricting software. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We will.
And again, the submitted maps, once they are processed, they are available on both the hub and the mapping software. So OP070 is currently available on both. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to move on to Jackie Contreras, then Henry Perez. Jackie, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Jackie, and I'm with Community Coalition and the People's Bloc. I'm calling today to speak against Map B. This map only allows for the creation of 2 districts where communities of color would be able to elect a candidate of their choice, while other maps allow for the creation of 3 districts where communities of color can have more representation. It packs South LA and Southeast communities into 1 district, which is going to diminish their representation in the county. I also urge the commission to not consider map 66.
We've lost Jackie Gutierrez's audio. Do you want to stop the clock, Ty?
Yeah.
Jackie, can you hear us? We cannot hear you. Jackie may have to come back.
So we'll go ahead and move on. And Jackie, if you do come back and fix the audio, just go ahead and put your name in the Q&A again. So we're going to go ahead and move on to Henry Perez, then Daniel Jimenez. Henry, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute.
Hello, commissioners. My name is Henry Perez, and I am a resident of unincorporated East Los Angeles, bordering Montebello. And I'm calling to express my opposition to Map B. Map B is a very problematic map that is being proposed. It is a very inequitable map. It is packing South LA with Southeast LA and really reducing the Black CVAP there in SD2, which is very concerning. And it also has 3 districts with a large white population of CVAP, which is concerning given the demographics of LA County. I support Map F with some revisions, such as Montebello, where it borders East LA and has a very strong relationship with East LA and the East Side, should be included in Map F with SD1. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Next, we're going to move on to Daniel Jimenez, then Tim Sandoval. Daniel, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute.
Hola, buenas noches, comisionados. Mi nombre es Daniel Jiménez y soy coordinador de padres con la lucha del pueblo. Por los últimos 4 años hemos estado trabajando con las comunidades del este de Los Ángeles. Hoy estoy hablando porque creo que el mapa B no es la mejor opción para nuestras comunidades, que han sido marginalizadas por décadas. El mapa B hará que la comunidad del sur-centro de Los Ángeles pierda representación, poniéndolos en desventaja a las otras comunidades. El mapa B, junto a las comunidades del sureste de Los Ángeles, con comunidades del sur-centro de Los Ángeles, lo cual perjudica a las 2 comunidades en tener más representación en el condado de Los Ángeles. El mapa B también crea 3 distritos donde la comunidad blanca tendrá la más alta población de votantes en edad para votar, conocida como CVAP, por sus siglas en inglés. Esto es preocupante dado la composición demográfica del condado de Los Ángeles y no refleja una representación equitativa de nuestras comunidades. Nuestras comunidades necesitan muchos recursos y el mapa B discrimina y disminuye la representación de nuestras comunidades. Por estos motivos, hoy pido que esta junta de comisionados que no adopten el mapa A. Nosotros estamos apoyando el mapa F, que se nos hace un poco más representativo, pero que todavía necesita trabajo. Así que los invito a que trabajen más en el mapa F y que el mapa B no lo pasen. Gracias.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. Next, we're going to move on to Tim Sandoval, then Elizabeth Lugo. Tim, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Tim Sandoval, mayor of the city of Pomona.
I want to sincerely thank you for listening to the feedback from Pomona. I'm glad to support the modified Map F, which now includes Pomona in District 1. We have a lot at stake during this redistricting process and appreciate it when our voices are heard. We share many common interests with cities along the 10 and 60 freeways of the San Gabriel Valley, including El Monte, South El Monte, and Baldwin Park. Again, I want to thank you for your hard work and attention to the needs of the city of Pomona. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to Elizabeth Lugo, then Alex Villalobos. Elizabeth, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Awesome, thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Lugo, and I'm a Montebello resident now, but with family in East LA for over 60 plus years. As a child and as a youth, I attended Montebello schools and lived in East LA because East LA students are split between LAUSD and Montebello Unified. Both communities are closely tied together and need continued representation on the County Board of Supervisors through SD1. We operate almost as one in work, in school, worship, and recreation. You know, my family's church is right down the block at St. Alfonso's on Atlantic. And during the summertime, you can find us at the Belvedere Park, walking and swimming. And so I'm here this evening to ask that you do not separate Montebello from SD1. And I thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next, we have Alex Villalobos, then Mayor Bill Brand. Alex, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Hi, good evening. My name is Alex Villalobos. I'm a lifelong resident and business person in East Los Angeles. Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity and the continued hard work of all of the commissioners. I'm here, I'm calling tonight in support of Map F, as it will retain unincorporated East Los Angeles within District 1. East LA needs to remain in SD1, as East LA has a historically and current deep relationship with the Office of SD1, both in standing business and residential related improvement projects alike. East LA has made significant progress that will be undermined by being absorbed in another district. As well, I also comment that Montebello as well needs to remain in SD1, as there is as well that longstanding deep relationship that we have with our adjacent communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Next, we have Mayor Bill Brand and then Rosa Soto. Mayor Bill Brand, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and then you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, Mayor Bill Brand of Redondo Beach. We look at many of these maps. I will say we're all going through redistricting, and we're trying to keep the changes to a minimum. And I see a lot of redrawing here that is kind of crazy. It's got, you know, the Palos Verdes Peninsula out to the San Fernando Valley. You've got these huge areas now trying to capture populations that really, you guys, that's your purpose here is to prevent that kind of gerrymandering. I've heard a lot of inaccurate statements here, but, you know, Map B has three major Latino districts now by far. So, yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of Map B, because it keeps the communities of interest closer together. It's less divided. It's got less max deviation. It's at 4.25, and Map F is 8.36, like double. So big proponent of Map B. I hope you guys will keep things as closely as they are. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to Rosa Soto, then Stephanie Shi. Rosa, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for your dedication to this process. My name is Rosa Soto, and I'm a resident of North Whittier. I continue to be concerned about how my community and our neighbors will be represented in some of the maps under discussion. While I've shared in previous testimony that I am in support of the process the People's Block map Map A underwent to develop their map and overall how the districts were depicted on that map, I wanted to share that I feel Map F moves the discussion in the right direction. However, my family who live in Hacienda Heights and have shared their concerns with me about being grouped with La Habra Heights, a community that has a median income far greater than that of Hacienda Heights and Rowland Heights. We need to keep similar communities together to support better and equitable distribution of resources. Please consider the need for change for that change to Map F to separate Hacienda and Rowland Heights from La Habra Heights. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa. Next, we have Stephanie Shi, then Henry Fung. Stephanie, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I am from Rowland Heights. I've lived there my whole life, and I'm in favor of modified option F that moves Hacienda Heights, Rowland Heights, Diamond Bar, and Alhambra into the first district. But I oppose removing Montebello from this district, and I also oppose moving La Habra, La Habra Heights into the first district. Like the previous person said, it is a very significantly different city from the surrounding unincorporated areas. Like even though they're right next to each other, they're very, very different places. And I feel like our needs and concerns are very different from each other. So I end my time.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. Next, we have Henry Fung and then Cynthia Sternquist. Henry, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi, my name is Henry Fung. I developed Map F, and I'm very heartened by the comments of everybody that's supporting it. I created a Map 63 before the commission released Map 66, and I found that they are quite similar. And I actually would like the commission to look at Map 66. That is a very good map. Like I said to the newspaper, the Daily News, that map really takes us 95% there. It's a solid A job. But I do think that we do need to hear some feedback from people in SD2, whether they want to be connected to the beach or not, as I do feel that original Map F, taking people from Torrance to San Fernando Valley is a little bit too much of a stretch. So I think some feedback between 66, original Map F, 65, I think those should be the finalists for the public hearing on Wednesday. So thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Henry. Next, we have Cynthia Sternquist, then Paul Parzik. Cynthia, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Good evening, commissioners. This is Cynthia Sternquist, Mayor Pro Tem from the city of Temple City. And whichever map is chosen, I would respectfully request that the city of Temple City continue to be served by Supervisorial District 5. Temple City has historically been represented by the general boundaries of the current 5th district. Temple City is within both common and diverse communities of interest within the existing 5th district boundaries. Temple City has a long history of representation in working with surrounding 5th district cities and county areas on regional issues of concern. And the majority of residents that have emailed me have requested that Temple City be served by Supervisorial District 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Paul Parzik, then Adriana Quinones. Paul, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute. Okay, Paul, if you are with us still, you will need to unmute before you make your public comment.
My apologies. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners, and I have to appreciate the exhaustive efforts that must have gone into this work. I do want to voice my support of Map F with the condition that I would appeal to have Montebello continue to remain in District 1 I should have started my role as the executive director of the Montebello Commerce YMCA. We're a 501c3 that has for years worked very closely with the supervisor's office in a variety of services, helping the underserved community that range from providing over 500,000 meals to the food insecure since the beginning of the pandemic, to a variety of medical services, childcare, and partnerships to provide water safety classes for non-swimmers, children in a state where drowning is the leading cause of accidental death among juveniles. So this is important that we continue this relationship that has been very positive in serving the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Next, we have Adriana Quinones, then Richard Martinez. Adriana, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Adriana Quinones, a resident of Hacienda Heights. I'm very active with my community on environmental issues, law enforcement issues, and many other issues. I am a member of different organizations in my community. We have a very diversified community with very unique issues. We have been working very hard on these issues with Supervisor District 4. We would like to keep it that way because otherwise we would be working on issues with a new supervisor, and that would mean that we would go back to square one. And again, Roland Heights, Hacienda Heights, Diamond Bar, we have the same type of diversity and we have the same type of issues. So it's important that we keep it with Supervisor Hans District 4. I would appreciate if you would also include our community in any focus groups.
Thank you, Adriana.
Thank you.
Next, we have Richard Martinez, then Kirk Samuels. Richard, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Richard Martinez, Superintendent for Pomona Unified School District. I just want to thank you for Map 66. It makes a lot of sense that it would keep Pomona and Diamond Bar together. As you know, this district serves students in both cities, and our school facilities are also located in both the communities of Pomona and Diamond Bar. I want to thank you all for your tireless work on this issue and support Map 66. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Next, we have Kirk Samuels, then Ismael Castro. Kirk, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Good evening, Commissioners. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
All right, awesome. So yes, my name is Kirk Samuels. I'm with Community Coalition and the People's Bloc. Before I get started, thank you for all the hard work you've all put in. And I am calling to urge you to not support Map B. Map B is really hurting the South Los Angeles community. Map B is, when we're looking at District 2, it's not incorporating communities like Carson and Hawthorne that's historically been in these South LA communities. And it's important to us that we have the representation that we need for the next 10 years. Also, I wanted to lift the fact that there's 3 districts in Map B that have the white CVAP higher than what's reflected than what we see in the county. So this is also a concern. The Black community has historically been underrepresented, and it's important for us to be able to elect a candidate of our choice. So please consider Map F and oppose Map B.
Thank you, Kirk. Next, we have Ismael Castro, then Jessica Panduro. Ismael, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Ismael, and I'm a resident of East LA, and I'm calling today to speak against Map B. Map B diminishes the voting power of communities of color by grouping Black and Latino communities together when they both deserve their fair representation. I'm in support of Map F, and want to mention that other maps would give white voters too much power. We should be mindful of the demographics of LA County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ismael. Next is Jessica Panduro, then Ruby Rivera. Jessica, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Good evening, commissioners. Again, my name is Jessica Panduro. I'm here with Inner City Struggle and the People's Bloc. Thank you for your work and taking on this responsibility and role that decides the next 10 years for our communities. I want to strongly oppose Map B and ensure that we uplift the need of protecting our communities that have been historically underrepresented. Map B fails to protect and take into account the importance of District 2, the only district that is predominantly Black, and group us together, Latinos and Blacks, into one district. Map F version is the best base map as a starting point. With a few modifications of community of interest not being broken apart, it is a map that could possibly represent our communities. For example, like bringing back Montebello into supervisory District 1, that historically we have a lot more in common. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Jessica. Next, we have Ruby Rivera, then Jackie Perez. Ruby, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Good afternoon, well, good evening, actually, commissioners. My name is Ruby Rivera. I'm a resident of Linwood. I've been here all my life, and I also organize in the East Side and have been organizing there for over 10 years. I want to first correct a statement made previously during public comment. Map B creates 3 districts with a majority white CVAP, which is districts 3 with a 53.2%, 4 with a 43.35%, and 5 with a 43.89%, just to make that very clear. So I'm calling here today to ask you all to oppose Map B because it creates a Latinx seat by hurting District 2, packing the Latinx and Black communities of South LA and Southeast LA into one district, diminishing our representation on a county level. As mentioned in a previous meeting, this is definitely not representative of the county. Map F, with some edits that have been mentioned here, should be moved forward.
All right, thank you, Ruby. Next, we move on to Jackie Contreras, then Osvaldo Dominguez. Jackie, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Good evening, commissioners. Apologies, my Wi-Fi has been turning off and on. But my name is Jackie. I'm with Community Coalition and the People's Bloc, and I'm calling today to speak against Map B. This map only creates 2 districts where communities of color would be able to elect a candidate of their choice, while other maps allow for the creation of 3 districts where communities of color can have more representation. It also packs Southeast communities and South LA communities into one district, which diminishes their representation in the county. I also urge the commission to not consider Map 66 as it pairs South LA communities with the coastal communities. These communities are vastly different in terms of income level, educational attainment, and they have very different issues. South LA communities are rent burdened, suffer from gentrification, and face police brutality. They should not be paired with coastal communities who are facing the complete opposite of these issues. Please do not dilute the voices of Black and Brown communities in South LA who have been historically oppressed and ignored by pairing them with these cities. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Next, we have Osvaldo Dominguez, then John Mendoza. So we have a few hands after that. So if folks who have not yet spoken feel like they have signed up but have not been called, please do so in the Q&A. Osvaldo, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Hello, my name is Osvaldo Dominguez. I am a lifelong resident of City Terrace. Growing up in East LA, I've seen the effects of community representation that does not understand the impact of gentrification and displacement in our historic community. We need a community that is represented by strong Latino and API leaders, such as currently represents us in SD1. Please consider that Map B pins Latino and Black communities against each other for representation and is not equitable. The purpose of this process is to better present the changing dynamic of our minority community. Map B does not achieve this. I am against Map B. Thank you.
Thank you, Osvaldo. Next, we have John Mendoza, then RC Chan. John, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is John Mendoza. I live 4 blocks from the
Pomona Fairplex in the Ganesha Historic District for 30 years. And I just want to let the commissioners know that there is a difference between South Pomona and North Pomona. Pomona is classified as a disadvantaged community with higher concentration of industrial zone. Also, we have the famous Valley Vista transfer station that was transferred there after a long battle and so forth. In North Pomona, it's a little bit higher income neighborhood. We're close proximity to the Fairplex. We've also had our environmental justice problems, but that's with the Fairplex, with the raves in which there was drug overdoses, traffic noise and trash in our neighborhoods, and also the recent Carvana. And we weren't able to get any help from any of the Board of Supervisors from the North for any of these issues. So take that into consideration, North Pomona and South Pomona, when you draft your maps. I'm partial to map B. Thank you.
Thank you, John. It looks like RC has requested not to speak. So we're going to move on to our last two speakers at the moment. Next, we have a caller with the phone number ending in 9566, then Jeanette Royston. Caller from 9566, you'll be able to unmute yourself by pressing *6. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so my name is Sandoval Mayor. I'm a resident of Thai Town in the East Hollywood neighborhood, and I work for the Thai Community Development Center for Thai CDC. I speak today to represent the Thai community and the AAPI community. I would like to urge the Commission to not consider Map B, as Map B1 separates priority AAPI communities of interest in Central LA into 3 different districts. First, part of Chinatown and Little Tokyo are in SD1 with East LA. Second, the remaining parts of Chinatown and Little Tokyo are with SD2 with Koreatown and Hi-Fi. And 3, Chinatown is with SD3 with San Fernando Valley and Malibu. Please do not move forward with Map B, as it would dilute the voices of historically oppressed communities and give them less chances of representation. Thank you very much.
Could I request the speaker to spell his name, please?
My name is Pun, Punnpavin, Puntavin.
Could you repeat the last
And
name?
then Herabat, Herabat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to Jeanette Royston and Jack Haginian. Jeanette, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I apologize for the mix-up. My name is Jeanette Ellis Royston. I'm a long-term resident of the city of Pomona and a strong community leader throughout the entire region. I am calling to let you know that I heard that Map F have been redrafted to the city of Pomona have been drafted back into Map F, and I'm really happy to hear that. I appreciate this update as it takes into account all of the diverse voices here in the city of Pomona. I want to thank all of the the commissioners group for a hard work. I did hear at the end of the presentation that this is just a concept. I just really would like for you to consider this concept to lead the city of Pomona in District 1. Thank you so much. I appreciate your hard work and time.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jack Haginian, and that's currently our last public speaker. Jack, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jack Haginian. I'm the former mayor of Montebello. I served 2 terms as mayor in the city of Montebello, and I'm calling in to speak or share my support of Map F, keeping the city of Montebello included in District 1. For many years, Montebello has been part of District 1, And it's important that I also speak as a member of the Armenian National Committee of America, the San Gabriel Valley chapter. It's important to know that the sitting supervisor understands our community very well, understands the struggles and the concerns. And we've worked many years with that supervisor. And also, we feel very connected with the cities that we currently share the district with. So it's important that Montebello does stay with District 1 as it's articulated in Map F. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jack. With that, I don't see any other in the Q&A or hands up. Co-chairs, would you like to close public comment on 5A?
Yes, let's do that. Okay, so now for the commissioners, I think what we'd like to do is go round robin, and the commissioners could reflect on what we've heard today, as well as their views on these map options. I'm hopeful that towards the conclusion of this discussion, we will potentially hear a motion to move one of these map options that the working groups have been working on forward with a new letter, or not. But at least we should consider doing that. But let's go round robin for commissioner comments at this point.
We're going to start off with Commissioner Wong.
Okay, thank you. Well, first off, I do want to really, appreciate all of the commissioners in the work group that, did take time out of the Thanksgiving holiday to work on this. I understand, how much of a sacrifice that was, and really appreciate all the work that you all did in the work groups. I did check all of the maps, and I was happy to see that a lot of the comments were, taken into account. And I especially like the idea of going through and keeping the cities and unincorporated areas together. I think that I like the map F slightly, slightly better, because I think it keeps some of the communities of interest together. I was a little concerned. I think I agree with the public comment that map B kind of splits up some discrete Asian communities into different districts, Chinatowns and SD1, Little Tokyo and Koreatown, and SD2, Thai towns and SD3. So, I had a little, they were all split up. And also, I wasn't sure why LAX, which I think some people, we were thinking we should put it in SD2. It's put in SD4, I think, in B1, and I think it's put in SD2 in the map F. At any rate, just conceptually, I liked map F better than map B, because it tried to keep some of the discrete communities of interest together in a little more complete way. And I did actually also, to give Commissioner Holtzman's, I did take a look at map 70, and though I think it's an interesting map, I think it is a stretch to connect, go all the way from the North counties, like Palmdale and Lancaster, and connect it down, to the more kind of coastal areas and more affluent areas of Pacific Palisades and Beverly Hills. So I would support kind of moving forward with map F.
Commissioner Franklin?
Okay, thank you. I have a couple of questions as part of my my comment. On map 066 map F, I don't know if you can pull it up or not.
Would you like me to pull it up?
Yes, thank you.
And would you like me to pull it up on the hub or on the software?
Whichever works best.
OP066?
Yes.
So
okay.
OP066.
Okay, thank you. Zooming in on District 2, my two concerns are LAX. Is LAX in District 2?
Yes.
Okay. And the borders of Long Beach, are they all connected whole to one district?
Yes.
Okay. Just very quickly, Co-Chair Maeda, I believe you had made some comments a while back, and then I'd like to get the numbers on this. In Map B, since we've had a lot of comments about SD2 as far as Map B is concerned, that it dilutes the Black and Brown historical communities. And I'm specifically interested in looking at the numbers as far as the Latinx numbers. Is it 67% Latino population? And is it over 54% CVAP? So the Latinx population in SD2 is a 67% Latinx population and 54% Latinx CVAP, as compared to the 17% total population of African Americans and 26.5 CVAP for the African American population. So I just want to get those numbers straight regarding Latinx as far as CVAP and the African American population and CVAP. Now, my concern is an economic assets, making sure that there are economic assets in the historical Black and Brown community. And as Commissioner Sandra Soto so aptly made a point about redlining, okay? And dealing with redlining, I know Commissioner Holtzman had made a comment a while back regarding the beaches, the coastal communities. And we don't want to exclude the white voters in SD2. Okay, so I'm just wondering, how can we, these are some thoughts that I have regarding SD2. One are the economic assets, and also not group, because SD2 is already 94% minority population, SD2. So how do we not compact that community, SD2, in a way that we lose economic assets, but also exclude the white voters? So those are some of my comments.
Commissioner Holtzman?
Okay. At this point, I'm not supportive of either map. I have more concerns with map B than with map F, but my main concern with these maps is that they connect North County with parts of the San Gabriel Valley. And at this point, I don't see myself supporting any map that connects North County with parts of the San Gabriel Valley. Now in the same district. So, I proposed a map that connects District 5, North County, to the south part of the county through the west side of the county. And that makes more sense, I think, because of the highways that go through there. other thing is that really, despite what we just heard from Commissioner Wong, there's no reason for economic segregation between Palmdale, Lancaster, Santa Clarita, the whole North County, and the areas of, Calabasas, Malibu, etc. Okay, so maybe Palmdale and Lancaster are not particularly well off. I had explored the possibility of having at least 2, maybe 3 districts reach into the North County area, but it was blocked by the problem with using redistricting units instead of census tracts and blocks. But then when you actually look at how you're going to connect the North County to other parts of the county, because North County doesn't have enough people in it to support a whole district, it makes sense to look at like Santa Clarita, Newhall, Stevenson Ranch, even Castaic, Valencia, and you'll see they're pretty much of the same social class as you'll find in Granada Hills and Chatsworth, and going down through to Woodland Hills, Hidden Hills, Calabasas, whatever. So that's both logical geographically and logical socioeconomically. And I was really persuaded by the commenter who said it was ridiculous to connect the eastern part of the San Gabriel Valley over the mountains with North County, because there's no driving connection there. So that's my main comment right now. Is I'm not disposed at this point to support any map that has San Gabriel Valley connected to North County.
Commissioner Kenny?
I do sympathize with Commissioner Holtzman, but I think that bus has left the station. I would like to suggest that we continue the working groups and have at least one more meeting and perhaps mix it up a little bit so that the reconstitute the working groups. I support Map B. I'm looking at the southern part of the county, which is, by the way, cut off in all of your projections of these maps. Plan 66 appeals to me, and the change that I would make, I'm going to call it a tweak, would be to put the Palos Verdes Peninsula in District 2, because Palos Verdes Peninsula is really intertwined with the city of Torrance, and I think it should go wherever Torrance goes. I think District 2, the reason I can't support Plan 65 is because of the bizarre configuration of District 3, which goes all the way up the coast, all the way to Calabasas and into the San Fernando Valley. So I'm left with current Plan B, but I could support Plan 66 if the Palos Verdes Peninsula were added to District 2.
Co-Chair Maeda?
Thank you. So I know that Commissioner Kenny has proposed, I believe it's 69, Map 69, which does what she's talking about, putting the peninsula community with SD3, right? No, I'm sorry, 2. And then making other adjustments, in particular correcting the population issue, because right now 66 as a concept is not in compliance with the population variance that we need. We need to bring it down to 10% between the highest and lowest population districts. So that clearly needs tweaking. And I certainly would support having the working group, start with 66 perhaps, and also look at 67, 69, and 71, all of which are variations or tweaks or whatever you want to call it of 66. I certainly think that's a great idea. I had been talking, as you know, about Map 50 and its successor, Map 60, But actually, when you look at 60, it's actually pretty close to 66. That concept, I think, is still a sound one. I have to say, I was reviewing all the maps. I was intrigued by Commissioner Holtzman's suggestion in an earlier map that the coast is an economic asset, that perhaps the center city ought to move west to capture part of the coast, and so that you can have 3 districts with part of the coast. And I thought that was an interesting idea. And seeing now the working group, in particular, Commissioner Sandra Soto described what they did to come up with 66, is some of those things, is recognizing the economic barriers, perhaps redlining and other things that may have prevented minority groups from moving to the coastal areas, recognizing that, including LAX as an economic driver and the coast as a significant asset. And as far as the economic assets are concerned, I really like the idea that each of these districts in 66 and other maps like it have. SD1 has downtown, SD2 has LAX and the coast, SD3 has UCLA and the coast, SD4 has the ports and part of the coast, and SD5 has JPL and other assets as well. As far as what to do with North County, I mean, that is one of the big challenges we've had, because we have heard testimony, have more commissioners have a representation and require them to answer to North County residents. And that was really challenging to try to do on a map. So I think what we're left with is either North County reaches down into the San Gabriel Valley foothills or reaches west. We have had, contrary to what Commissioner Holtzman is saying, we have had testimony that links the foothill communities in the San Gabriel Valley with North County. There also was testimony, admittedly, that links North County with the freeway that goes more to the west. But if you look at the ones to the west, you've got to go pretty far down into the West Valley, and it splits the valley. And there's tremendous, testimony about keeping the valley together. We can't make everybody happy, but something's got to give in that scenario. And I think that on balance, the maps that take the foothill communities in San Gabriel Valley with the North County, I think make more sense to me. But in any event, I would certainly hope that the commission will be willing to, have as a new option, I guess it would be G, map 66 for public review, have the working group look at that, make the various tweaks that are needed, clearly population tweaks that are definitely needed, but build off of that. I think that is really a strong contender to my mind, that as one commenter said, marries some of the best features of the B series and the A series, which turned out to be F, and et cetera. Thank you.
Commissioner Mendoza.
Thank you. Co-Chair Maeda, I think you prefaced this agenda item with perhaps we would get to a point where we can advance a map, or will we only, do I understand that to mean, or should I understand that to mean we're only going to advance one map?
No, absolutely not. Commission's free to propose any number of things. Probably should do it one at a time, though.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I want to commend the community-based organizations. They're well organized, quite vocal. I applaud that. We've heard from them today and in the past. I think in the recent past, we've heard a lot of support for what was the People's Block map, which we didn't advance. And today we heard, I guess, maybe some of those people, I don't know, I haven't cross-checked it, not in favor of map B. And we've also heard from our consultant who told us how to kind of filter the information, the same thing more or less being stated over and over in different words, very eloquently also. But so I think what we're coming down to, from my perspective, is whether or not there ought to be 2 or 3 Latino districts. That's what I see something that we're confronted with now. And I'm not sure, what we do exactly. During the update of the working group assigned to review the two maps that we were assigned, I was a little bit surprised, and I'm understanding it more because there's more conversation taking place about it, but talking about economic engines and an economic engine and why the District 2 would be better if it has an economic engine. I'm thinking, well, okay, are we getting away from the communities of interest? Because there are parts of LA that probably don't have much in common and vice versa with Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach, and Manhattan Beach. So I guess I need to understand that a little bit better to see what the motivating or driver is exactly. When we talked, I was in a working group for Map B, and we talked about including LAX in that. And I thought there was a finger that would take that into one of the District 2. But I like very much what Mary Kinney, Commissioner Kinney, stated, which is maybe we should change the groups up. My words, not hers, and have a different take. Maybe we will have a different take. We look at this a little bit differently. I want to put the best map forward, and whatever that means exactly. We heard from any number of people today. We actually had some elected officials that spoke, and I'm glad to hear that. Henry Fong, who's spoken almost every meeting, it would seem. Thank you, Henry. Reference hearing from beach communities and what they would like, given what's being shown on District 2 for one of the maps. And we heard from one elected official, the Redondo mayor, and he was most certainly not in favor of what was proposed, that's for sure. So I think we need to be very careful on how we move forward. And I think we have a lot more to discuss with very little time to do it. But we're going to need to do it and really, really look at motivations for what it is that we're doing. Thank you.
Next, we have Commissioner Morales.
Yes, thank you. So I'm in favor of what Co-Chair Maeda said in terms of Map 66. I think it covers a lot of the things that we had discussed in the working group. And in terms of, and I won't repeat a lot of the things that the AAPI issue that Commissioner Wong brought up as well is important to me. In terms of the question around economic engines, there's a lot of folks in the surrounding area in South LA that work at LAX. And so we have to bear that in mind as well. So this is also part of a community of interest, is the folks that actually travel right down the street to go work at LAX. So it is a community of interest from my perspective, having spent my weekends in South LA. Yeah, I won't add too much because I think a lot of it has already been said. Thank you.
Commissioner Obregon.
Yeah, I really have no comment. I mean, everybody is, expressing their idea, and some of the ideas are conflicting. I don't want to rule out any maps, so I'm hoping to see which way we can take this, but I really have no comment. Thank you.
Commissioner Orpanela Segura.
Yes, because I arrived late to the meeting, I am not comfortable with, I guess I'm not comfortable and I don't feel prepared to give any recommendations. What I would like to do is look at map 66 because I've heard it mentioned twice in regards to having that map having included comments that we received today. So that's the only feedback that I am going to provide at this time.
Commissioner Haile Soto.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to thank the public again for participating and keeping engaged in this process. It's really important. I know we received a lot of public comments against Map B1, but I think we should still consider maybe moving the 3 modified maps that the ad hoc working groups prepared, the 3 iterations, just to give the public, let them focus on them, and that there were some refinements on it. So maybe give an opportunity for them to review it. I do like Commissioner Kenny's map, proposed changes, maybe especially once I saw map 66 and then modifying it a little bit further to map 69, I think would be a potential viable option. And just like Co-Chair Maeda and Commissioner Mendoza mentioned about economic engines, maybe we could start highlighting some of those economic engines in each of the districts. Each of the districts have public universities, which are vital assets to the community. So I think it's maybe this is now that we are refining our maps, maybe we could also highlight those, which the strengths of each of these districts, just because they're all very unique. LA is very unique, so we could just highlight them, maybe especially the public universities, the Cal States and the UCs. Well, there's just one you see, but and then in terms of map 66, if should that be moved forward by the commission, I think maybe my suggestion would simply just to keep the to move commerce into the SELA community of interest. So moving just the City of Commerce into District 4 to go along with the rest of the Southeast LA cities. And I think there were some comments about moving Montebello over to District 1. And then there were some comments for the city of La Habra Heights. Yes, so maybe that being a community of interest with Rolling Heights and Hacienda Heights. So maybe that could be just, that's a smaller community, maybe about 5,000, but maybe it be merged with the city of Whittier, and it'll be a small little population change. Other than that, I think that's it for my comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Sandra Soto.
Yes, sorry, my dogs are barking, so I want to make sure you all can hear me clearly. So I was pausing. I wanted to, I think just generally press as we move forward to continue to evaluate the maps. There's so many pieces and so much data to consider that, I think we certainly want to make sure that as we consider, bringing whole cities together, as we consider assets, bringing assets into communities, as is the case, of course, in map 66, where we're exploring this concept of the beach cities coming into District 2, that we're also thinking about not diluting, again, the voting power of historic communities, right? And so it's kind of going through that checklist to make sure that is the case. And I think it is, I appreciate Commissioner Jaila Soto just talking about, right, hopefully soon getting to that point where we can see what are these other assets that are important in community, not because they're economic engines, that is important, but in addition to that, because they provide critical services that are essential to people having a good quality of life. And yes, that includes hospitals. That also includes, I think, schools, parks, et cetera. I think we want to make sure, again, as we continue to look at the data and how our numbers in terms of population fluctuate, that we're also thinking about in LA County that does provide equitable distribution of resources in all the ways that we can think about that. And I think it, I know that a lot of the comments today were focused in on sort of this notion of, are we packing communities of color into specific districts, and by that notion diluting, again, voting power in other districts. I really want us to explore that further as we continue to refine these maps. And I'm still hoping that we'll continue to hear more from the San Fernando Valley and Northern County communities, because I think we're at such a critical point that as we consider everything that is in front of us, hearing from community, as was the case today, is really helpful in helping us identify like what are these sort of smaller areas that we might overlook because they are, in the grand scheme of a county of over 10 million people, small. So I thank the community and encourage you to continue to, again, keep us focused broadly and focused also, kind of deeply and looking closely at details. So thank you.
Commissioner Stetcher.
Thank you. I like map 66 and Commissioner Kenny's modification of it, map 69. And I wanted to, but I'm willing to consider other modifications and all. I wanted to bring up two things that I haven't heard too much about today that were questions raised when we discussed the creation of map 66 and how to handle the historically Black neighborhoods in the South LA and the central city. And we recognize that through redlining and through restrictive covenants, lots of groups have been denied access to large swaths of the county. And one thought that Commissioner Sandra Soto put forward was that by creating this district and bringing it out to the ocean, we really were in some levels embodying correction of some past wrongs and moving together, giving people access to regional assets that were denied them. And so one concern I have, if we're thinking in that way, is that we be consistent. And there are other parts of the county where there were denial of access. The foothill community, for example, the foothill communities, Altadena, La Cañada, Flint Ridge are historically white, and it was very difficult for minorities to move there. And yet we did not talk about the equity that we might foster by including in Supervisory District 1, these traditionally white communities. And so if we're having that conversation, I think we should have it consistently about other parts of the county, as well as just the west side. I don't know where it leads us, but I don't think we're doing a fair job by just looking in one place. Then the other thing that I'm not sure I understand fully is the notion that in map 66, when we're looking at supervisorial district 2, that the difference between map option B1 and map option 66 is that somehow one dilutes the power of the African-American community more than the other. And essentially the percentage of Black voters in those two different maps in District 2 is pretty much the same. And so it's 26% in one, 29% in the other. And so I'm not sure I understand why one dilutes that voice more than the other dilutes that voice. And if that matters to us, I would think we should be explicit about why that's the case.
Commissioner Bento?
Hi, can you guys all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Is it better this time? Is there any static? No? Okay. Well, I think a lot has already been said, but I'm not going to reiterate a lot of points, but I like the progress that we're making, and I don't have my mind set on a very specific map, but I do.
The audio went out, Commissioner Bento?
And the modulation is very poor.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. So in short, I'll just say that I like the process that we have did the other day by playing around with the maps. I do have some concerns about District 5 not getting, say, sufficient access, but and I don't have my mind set on a very specific map at this point, but I like the progress we're making. So thank you.
Co-Chair Williams.
Okay, again, I appreciate the input of the public. I don't think we've heard enough yet from the public. I think the neighborhood councils have not appeared. There is almost an overrepresentation of some communities and a totally underrepresentation of others. So there's I know we're doing what we can to get the word out, and hopefully we'll continue at the next hearing to hear, I guess, more diversity of speakers when we start to talk about the map. So I don't think we're yet ready to limit it to one map. I do like the direction that we're headed in with map 66. Of course, there's still some tweaks to be done. And sometimes we say, why would LAX be part of District 2? If you look at the flight path, and I've lived in Inglewood, tell me, there's issues around noise pollution. I have been there, and it's not just noise pollution. You get the strong smell of gasoline or whatever they're using for those planes. So there are a lot of issues. There are issues in District 2 directly related to LAX, in addition to it being an economic engine. I know there's a lot of strong, well, what we're hearing from the public right now is sentiment against B, but I'm not sure I'm ready to say let's not move it. I think we just need to hear a little bit more as we move forward, but I like moving map 66 together. Still needs to be tweaked so we can get more public input, because that's a big move for a lot of people. So we'd like to hear from that. In terms of other tweaks, I think we've tried to be, we have been responsive to the input that we've received. Again, I just think there's still more input needed as we move forward. So I think somewhere we're between 66 and its spawn, its children. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to drop map C. It might need, there's a lot of input against it. I understand that, but maybe there's a concern in looking at how do you deal with map B to address some of those concerns. So that's where I'm at. And a lot of, I think, in terms of economic resources, I think there is a need to look at balancing that across the district. And rather than one district having access to most of the beach communities, why not? That's an economic engine that could be shared as well. So that's where I'm at.
I see Commissioner Wong, your hand is up.
Yes, I apologize, but I think when I spoke, I said map F, or at any rate, I meant map 66 when I was talking about which map, to move forward, But actually, I also just, another suggestion is map 67. I think it's Henry Fung's map. He incorporated some of the public comments, including addressing some of the issues around the Asian communities and Armenian communities. So I would just kind of encourage people to also look, because Co-Chair Maeda mentioned some others, but I would encourage some of the commissioners to look at map 67 as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I mentioned 67, 69, and 71 are tweaks off of 66. But we've been going now for almost 2 hours. Can we go ahead and take our 10-minute break, come back, and then we'll see if there's motions. Let's do that.
We have about one more minute.
Okay, if we can come back, please. Okay, I think we have a quorum. Okay. I guess let's open it up for additional commissioner comments, including if anyone wants to make a motion. Commissioner Wong?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I actually didn't want to make a motion, but I actually wanted to address Commissioner Stetcher's question, because I think he raised a very important question when he asked, he didn't understand why some people in the public might have considered the vote dilution when the percentage of the African-American vote was the same, you know, around 26, 27%. And I guess I would posit that the reason that the reason I think, you know, the map 66 is more fair and equitable than the map B1 is because what it does is, you know, in the SD2, you have a combined, you have a, you know, a Latino district with 54%. And so included in the African-American district with the 26 or 27% versus, you know, in map 66, it's 35% and relatively equal, like 35% Latino. I think it's like 20% white and 27% African-American. And that makes it much more, you know, competitive in terms of why I think some of the public comment was that they felt that it diluted the African-American vote because it's less likely they may be able to elect a candidate. Well, I don't know if they were less likely to elect a candidate of their choice, but that it seemed like it might be harder for them. Not that legally we might need to do that, but just in terms of equity and population and proportionality of the LA County population. I don't know if that clarifies it to you. But.
Commissioner Stetcher, then Commissioner Mendoza.
I will admit that I was being a little simplistic in the question because I do understand that there's a difference, but I thought it would be important for us to clarify if that's our thinking. Since we didn't find racially polarized voting in previous county elections, it is perhaps less critical that we look at as those numbers in as much detail, but I do like map 66 because it has more districts where the major population groups are split and are represented in a little more equal numbers. And there isn't a really predominant group. But the reason I raised my hand was to say I would be happy to make a motion to move map 66/69/ F forward and call it G1 for further consideration, unless the chairs preferred to have a working group tweak it first. So it was a question about how you wanted to proceed with this.
So just so for clarification, it would be if we adopt a new map to put forward to the public, I think it would be a G, not a G1, just a map G. And, the commission could decide how they want to handle it. I do think there probably is a benefit to continue to have a working group review it. I do have a concern about a concept that was raised earlier, which is that maybe we should have a different working group. And I wanted to ask Holly what she thought, if that in some way, because remember, we deliberately had a working group that was less than quorum to avoid Brown Act issues. And I don't know whether this having another working group with different members would in fact cause a Brown Act issue. So I wanted to get some guidance from Holly on that.
Sure. I think that generally speaking, the idea of mixing the groups up, while it's actually a good idea to get diverse input, I think I would recommend against it at the working group stage, because I think then when you have a crossover of two working groups, we start to approach serial Brown Act meetings, or between the original group and then the people that cross over, we can tip over into a quorum. And I actually think, in terms of putting the Brown Act aside, having a mix helps that different ideas vet each map. I think that process really is going to have to take place in a public meeting, and we should stick with the original groups with no crossover because of the Brown Act issue.
I see Commissioner Mendoza has put his hand down, so moving on to Commissioner.
No. I put it down because you had recognized it already.
Okay. So go ahead, Commissioner Mendoza.
Thank you. My voice is a little bit strained. I'm sorry. Would it be possible to Holly and everybody, if the co-chairs switch the groups, would that help in what the suggestion was to do, or is that still problematic?
I think it presents the same issues.
Okay. Secondly, I live in the northeast end of the county, part of the county, and I regularly go to the beach, either the dog beach in Huntington Beach, to walk my dog, or walk my dog on the Strand from north is El Segundo all the way down to Manhattan Beach if I want a long walk. So when I hear about economic engines and giving access to a group of people in District 2 that didn't have it before, whether that's Hawthorne, Gardena, Inglewood, to Hermosa, Redondo, Manhattan, I don't quite understand. I need somebody to tell me what that means. Do people not have access now? I don't get it.
Moving on to Commissioner Kenny, then Commissioner Sandra Soto.
I just want to comment that there are reasons for having District 2 include beach communities other than historic redlining. And I'm not going to go into that now because of time limitations, but that addresses Commissioner Stetcher's comment. So there's a motion on the floor. The motion is to adopt Plan 66. Is that instead of existing option F, or is it in addition to option F? I'm trying to figure out whether we're having a proliferation of maps, or are we keeping this pretty much the same number of maps?
If I can address that. So you will recall that we were willing to put forward maps for the public to consider at public hearings, and we were somewhat reluctant to withdraw maps prior to a public hearing. And I suspect something similar might be happening here, where there may or may not be sufficient support for B1 to push forward. but someone had said, one of the commissioners said, maybe we should just keep that there. We can decide at the next time around to perhaps withdraw it. But perhaps having a map G, which I would suggest should be just a map. So it could be 66, one other map for the public to consider, but then perhaps having the same working group who looked at option F to review it and to tweak it and so forth.
And we're having, Co-Chair Maeda, could you just clarify what are the maps that are being considered at the next public hearing right now? Is it just
so
B1 and F?
Right now it's B1 and F.
So these would be in addition to B1 and F.
Correct.
Thank
Correct.
you.
That's my thought, and I think we can probably get consensus around that. But actually, I wasn't clear. Is there in fact a motion to make map 66 option G for consideration at the next public hearing?
I did not actually make a motion.
Okay, I didn't think
Inquired
so.
about it.
I didn't think so. So let's have further discussion. So I think Sandra Soto should be recognized next.
Right. So we have Commissioner Sandra Soto.
I wanted to, thank you. I wanted to expand on this, idea of beyond access to assets or economic engines. I think what we want to think about is the representation when decisions are being made about, for example, as Commissioner Williams spoke about LAX, right? LAX is an economic engine, but has impacts that go beyond sort of the economy and in communities that are in its path. And when that community is not represented when decisions are being made to some extent, then they're not in a position of power to contribute to those decisions when they're being made. And these decisions again have an impact on sort of the quality of life of communities surrounding. And that can be the same again for hospitals. It can be the same for beaches, right? If we think about beaches as an asset because they are about open space and access to nature, right? If communities are not connected or their representative is not sort of, directly in a position representing that area, then those communities either won't benefit or will be impacted negatively in some instances. So I think that's another way to think about it, right? It goes beyond access. Really, it's about who's represented when decisions about these different economic engines or assets are being made. So that's, again, just offering another perspective as we think about what assets or economic engines are brought into different communities.
Commissioner Holtzman and Commissioner Mendoza.
Thank you. Two concepts to start with. One is that a single supervisor will work to unify a district in certain ways. The district, it's not just providing, say, transportation to the beach, like Zev Yaroslavsky used to do for everybody in his district, even in the valley. But it's also socially and economically with town hall meetings and bring people together. And just, seeing signs for county facilities with one supervisor's name on it in a particular area establishes sort of a sense of community. So the other concept is that communities of interest are economic or social. And when I brought up access to the beach from South Central, the historically Black communities, down, up and down South LA, and even a little bit to the west, that was more of a social thing in my mind. But yeah, it's also economic to get to the jobs there. And I'm glad Commissioner Co-Chair Maeda has brought that up. But remember the story. So, this is largely to respond to Commissioner Mendoza, the right-of-way expert on our commission. You know, when you have a car like Commissioner Mendoza, you have pretty much right of way to go anywhere you want to wherever there's a road. But the story I told was that people couldn't get to the beach from certain areas because they weren't wanted, for one thing, because of their color on the beach. And the government, county agency, the MTA, or I think it might have been called the RTD at the time, listened to people who said that there were too many black bodies on the beach and cut off bus lines that were taking people to the beach. And what I'm thinking is that we will have a supervisor from a bigger district too, that will be willing to augment transportation resources for people who need such resources and get them to the beach. Now, with regards to you know, the foothill communities and in the San Gabriel Valley, Commissioner Setzer brought up, I don't know fully the history there, but I wouldn't be surprised if the people of color from the flatlands of the valley had a hard time getting to or even feeling comfortable in the more affluent foothill communities of the San Gabriel Valley. I don't know. I know there are data now coming out showing, you know, sort of targeted enforcement against people of color in, say, Beverly Hills. So, you know, maybe he's got a point there, but of course my proposal does not cut off the foothills from the rest of the valley, my most recent one. So anyway, that's what I was talking about. It wasn't necessarily economic engine, but I do like that point as well.
Commissioner Mendoza, then Gayla.
Yeah, thank you, commissioners, for that explanation. It's very helpful to me to understand the concept that's being discussed now. Co-chairs, I'm a little bit fuzzy on the map numbering now. I've looked at a lot of them on the computer. I get headaches, so I print out as much as I possibly can. So when we talk about the numbers, we could somehow provide a little bit of context and maybe even show the map if we're going to introduce something a little bit different. That'll be helpful to me. Thank you.
Before we move on, commissioners, if any of you would like me to show the map on the screen, just do let me know. Gayla, then co-chair Williams.
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of do an alignment, just a very quick point. You asked the one working group to look at B1 and make improvements. So you might want to think about 064 becoming B2, because it took care of a lot of the cities that were split. And I get an awful lot of phone calls and emails about why is the city split? So that would reduce comments on that. 65 is doing the same thing for what is your current F1. And then 66 is a new map. It would be G, but it does require a work group making sure that it passes the deviation in the other tests. So there may be actually 3 modifications I just wanted to put out there for you to think about in terms of elevating maps for Wednesday night.
This is very helpful. Thank you.
And I can make a table at any point you want me to, or if people want to make motions, we can type it in so people can see it.
Co-chair Williams, then Commissioner Vento.
Yes, I wanted to, I thank Gayla for her comments, because I wanted to make a motion or amend the motion that we would move forward for the next hearing, Map B, Map 65, which we will now, which was modified, F, and considers Map 66 as Map G. So we would be moving forward 3 maps for consideration, B, F, and 66, which needs to be tweaked, which is now G, BF and G.
So just for clarification, do you, if we're going to do, so what Gayla just mentioned is that if we were going to proceed with a tweaked map B1, it should be B2, which would be current 64.
Okay.
So
Yes.
current 64 is B2, current 65 is F2, and then 66 is G.
Yes.
Okay. Do people feel comfortable voting in a package like that? I mean, I do think that is consistent, although I guess I could see someone objecting to doing it that way.
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Kenny, was that you?
Yes, it was
Seconded.
Commissioner Kenny.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so let's have a little bit further discussion on that.
And just to keep in mind as well, just to know, are we doing this? We won't have an F1.
Correct. F1 would be replaced by F2, which is current 65.
So there currently is no F1. We start with F and we jump into F2.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so this would be F1 then, actually.
And you can take the vote one at a time, or you can do it as a group. I just wanted to make sure people knew which maps went with what.
Right. No, that's helpful. So currently we have a motion for all three of those changes, but let's have some further discussion.
Commissioner Vento, then Co-Chair Maeda.
Oh, did it disappear?
Yep. So Co-Chair Maeda, then Commissioner Stetcher.
So I had raised my hand earlier just to respond to one thing Commissioner Holtzman said, which is he suggested that there's, supervisors may have some influence in terms of transportation routes. That is clearly true because supervisors sit on the MTA board, I believe. So in fact, they do have impact in terms of transit routes. That's the only comment I was going to make.
Commissioner Stetcher, then Commissioner Mendoza.
Thanks. I'm happy to support the motion. And my question is whether there would be opportunities to further address any of the comments we heard tonight before these things become made public for comment at our Wednesday meeting, because I assume that's when we'll start receiving comments. Is there a chance that the working groups could go back and make minor tweaks to bring them more in line and to address some of the things like moving La Habra Heights, stuff like that?
I guess it would depend on whether the working group can meet tomorrow or maybe Wednesday morning. I think that's at least a possibility, but unless we poll them, we won't know for sure.
Commissioner Mendoza, then Commissioner Wong.
Yes, the third map under consideration for this motion. So I wrote down E2 is 64, F2 is 65. What's the third map? Or do I have it wrong?
It's on the screen. I don't know whether you could see that or not, but maybe you can if you're on your phone. G
okay, no, I can't. Wait, so G is 66. Maybe, can we please have that
Yes.
shown then, the map, please? Thank you.
I can pull it up now.
And I might just add, if the commission is in agreement, you received comments, for example, on Montebello placement, and you mentioned La Habra. Ty could make some of those quick adjustments right now, so it could be captured if that's what you agree to.
The problem is that may not make them pass all of the tests if we make those without looking at the consequences.
But he
Does
can.
it have to be posted a certain period of time prior to the Wednesday meeting?
That's my
Holly can
concern.
explain the process, but we've posted the base maps, and in the past we have added maps prior to. Holly, do you want to amplify on that? It looks like Holly's frozen. So Commissioner Kenny, what we have done in the past is post the maps you were very serious about going forward for 7 days. We recommended you not remove any of those, but in the past you have added maps. And we would have to then indicate these are refinements that we think are improvements.
Commissioner Mendoza, did you have any other comments?
No, I'm looking at the map. Thank you so very much.
Commissioner Wong, then Commissioner Sandra Soto.
Yes, I'm wondering, I guess this is, I guess I had asked this, before. So map 66 is a version of 65. And do we need to include map 65? I'm just worried about including too many maps or is it a separate map that we should be considering? I guess I was a little confused about that.
So 65 is equivalent, 65 to option F is equivalent to 64 to B1. In other words, it's taking B1, 64 is taking B1 and fixing things, tweaking it, as 65 is to option F, tweaking, putting cities together, et cetera. 66, though, even though it's based on option F, is different enough, I think, that it deserves its own letter. I think that's the consensus.
Okay, I understand. That's fine. I didn't realize that.
Commissioner Sandra Soto, then Co-Chair Williams.
Question for clarification, so that I understand process moving forward in preparation for Wednesday. We know that map 66 or G does not pass the deviation test. Are we able to address that in the ad hoc working group, or do we need to address that prior to going into working group?
So can I just suggest, I'm sorry to cut you off, it's 9:25. I think some of these tweaks can be done, on the fly right now, if there's consensus to try to make those tweaks, and then we'll post that as G. And I would suggest that I think that we can reach consensus on some of these tweaks and bring it into full compliance with the population issue. I think Commissioner Kenny did that with her map 69, and I think that one is in compliance. So I think it is possible to be done. And that's my suggestion, if in fact we have, if there's consensus to do so.
Co-Chair, I'm sorry, Commissioner Sandra Soto, did you have additional comments?
Just for the Co-Chair Mayeda, are you then saying that if we're able to bring that to past deviation, the deviation test, then we would not bring that into the ad hoc working group? We would just post it for.
No. What I was suggesting is there may be some things that we could do right now. We may not be able to finish because there's a lot of potential tweaks. But if we can do some of those tweaks now, then maybe we should try that and then see if there's agreement to push that one forward.
Co-Chair Williams.
My question had to do with the same thing, taking care of how do we bring map G into whatever, so that it meets all of the right tests. So if it's something we can do now, I would like to. I'm not sure if the working group will have a chance to meet in the next day or so to make that adjustment. So I'm open to it. There are some things there we can already consider, but that was my question. I wanted to make sure, are we going to offer it the way it is, or are we going to try to tweak it? I like to see it tweaked if possible.
Commissioner Mendoza.
Regarding the tweaking, it is late, as Co-Chair Mayeda mentions. I certainly don't like rushing things without much time. Can we have an altogether different working group work on this third map? Volunteers?
I don't know, Holly. I mean, I think Holly has indicated that we are beginning to, run the risk of serial commissioners working on the same thing outside of regular public notice.
Right. That's my concern. I recommend that if you're considering something that is a variation of F, that the working group that worked on F should be the one that does it.
Unless we're able to do it right now.
Exactly.
Or if there are members of the working group willing to meet between, quickly, maybe tomorrow sometime. That's a whole nother question to make those revisions.
I see Commissioner Kenny, then Commissioner Franklin.
Yes.
And under the principle of keep it simple, stupid, it's not really that far off. I brought it into compliance by moving Silmar, which is that blue thing that sticks up in District 3. I moved that up into District 5, which is, I can't see on Ty's map, but I'm pretty sure District 5 is under 2 million.
Yes.
Ty, yeah. So I think you need a little more than that, but I think all you're talking about, my goal was to move the Palos Verdes Peninsula to District 2, and then District 2 messed up, and then I had to move Carson to District 4, but I don't think you have to do that to bring this map into compliance. I think you can do it just by taking off the Silmar and I didn't do this. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Does that bring that into compliance, Ty?
Would you like me to try that now?
Yes, let's try that.
Go for it.
Not quite. District 2 still is about 0.31% over. Well, actually, let's check. So it does look like it will pass the check.
Yeah, because it's 5.31 over, but the under is less than 5.
Correct.
Okay, so that's,
I mean, we could do that. You could do that one thing and this map is in compliance.
If we
And
try to
maybe-
move Montebello, I think we could be here a long time figuring out how to balance it.
I think you're right. I think, but why don't we at least do this? So at least we can represent that this one, if it were to be adopted, is in fact in compliance. Any objection to that?
I do want to point out that that does split communities of interest in the San Fernando Valley, which would be Silmar, Pacoima, and some others that are generally low-income communities of color.
No, but to the east of Silmar are, I think you have, what is that, Ty?
It's an unincorporated area called Cago Lopez Canyons.
And south of that.
It is Lakeview Terrace.
Yeah, so you've got Silmar with some of those eastern communities, which is why, I mean, I'm not like fundamentally in favor of it, but it's not horrible. I would rather see Silmar with the San Fernando Valley, but it is one thing you can do that brings this map into compliance.
And can I ask, and this is really because I don't understand, in terms of the process, do we need to bring it into compliant in order to put it forth for consideration? Meaning, like, do we need to rush and do that immediately at this moment?
I don't know that we need to. I think it would be better to have maps that are, meet our own criteria for maps that can be published for the public's consideration.
Yeah,
I think if I may also point out, then the public can also work with it themselves. They can use that map. They can make some other modifications for your consideration. Where if it's just a shared map, they won't be able to do that.
I think what our goal is right now is to have it be in compliance so that we can get public comments on it, which means we can still make modifications, and the public may say move Silmar back, but then that gives us a chance to look at other modifications. We want it there for public comment for the next hearing.
And the working group might in fact move it back if there's another way to do it. And if they needed time.
Commissioner Franklin and Commissioner Stetcher.
Okay, thank you. I just want to recommend that we move forward, making tweaks, if we can, right now, to certain recommendations that have already been made by the public, as Commissioner Kenny has made some suggested tweaks already. My suggestion is that we make some tweaks now if we can. If we cannot, then, no, if we still need time, then the working groups can kick in. But as Co-Chair Williams has already indicated, we might not have, the number of people, required numbers to move forward with this working group. But anyway, I belabor the fact. I'd like to make sure if we tweak now that we consider not including La Habra, okay? With, I believe it's this Hacienda Heights and Roland Heights, but La Habra not being connected to those two cities.
I think it was La Habra Heights, right?
La Habra Heights.
La Habra is in Orange County, yeah.
Yeah, La Habra Heights.
So, okay, all right then. So if La Habra Heights is in Orange County, no, but I don't know why they mentioned La Habra Heights, because I think you, Commissioner Mendoza, yes, Mendoza indicated that that section was close to Whittier, okay, on the map. So.
Yeah, fairly close. I mean, it's over the, kind of over the hill, yes.
Yeah, it's separated by a hill, so there's a natural barrier there.
Okay, all right. So we can just scrap that as far as a public comment talking about La Habra Heights. La Habra Heights is not connected to Whittier or close to Whittier.
It's adjacent.
It's adjacent to Whittier. So La Habra Heights, is that in District where? Where is La Habra Heights? In District?
It's in District 1 in OP 066.
Okay. All right then. So that was the recommendation, plus Carson and Hawthorne. Carson and Hawthorne.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but before we leave La Habra Heights, wasn't I heard that Hacienda Heights is different than Roland Heights and La Habra Heights and should be in a different district. Did I get that wrong? I mean, I thought that's what the argument was.
That's what I thought as well, Co-Chair Maeda.
I think that was the comment. So we heard one person say that, so we're going to move it?
Well, I mean, there was more than one. I think there was a couple, but that was, I just want to clarify that that's what we heard.
So there were 3 comments made on La Habra Heights. One was separate Hacienda Heights and Rolling Heights from La Habra Heights. They're not similar. Another one was opposing removing Montebello and La Habra Heights from SD1. And then the third one was questioning La Habra Heights and SD1, that it was not part of the San Gabriel Valley. It was near Whittier. Those were the 3 public comments.
Correct. Thank you so much, Galen and Co-Chair Maeda. Because I mean, I heard it and I just wanted to make sure that if we were tweaking, we can make those recommendations as well. And then the last one, Carson and Hawthorne, Ocoee to District 2.
So they are in District 2 right now.
Okay, all right then. So that was a public comment, making sure that it stays in District 2, because one of the maps, it was not included in District 2, Carson and Hawthorne.
I'll also point out, we received a letter from the city of Carson asking to keep them together today. But no comment on in terms of which district.
Okay, the public comment was to keep them together in District 2. All right, thank you, Galen. Thank you.
Next, we have Commissioner Stetcher, then Commissioner Hyla Soto.
We have a comment, a suggestion from our Valley expert that if we're going to move an area into District 5, rather than taking we should move Porter Ranch into District 5 instead of moving Sylmar. And if the population works, That makes sense to me and doesn't break up that tight-knit Latino community at the northeast end of the valley. Oh, but it's already in District 5. So then
It doesn't help
work.
us.
Okay.
Commissioner Haile Soto, then Commissioner Orbanela Segura.
Yes, thank you. So I think my comments, as I mentioned earlier, were just to keep the City of Commerce together with the Southeast LA Community of Interest. So moving the City of Commerce into District 4, and then based on some comments, moving the City of Montebello into District 1. Looks like it should pass the test. I've been making the changes as we're discussing them, so looks like it passes the integrity test, including the SOMAR change and the La Habra Heights modification as well. And that's it.
So wait, it hasn't been done yet. So you're suggesting Montebello go from 4 into 1, and City of Industry go from 1 into 4.
City of Commerce.
I'm sorry, City of Commerce go
yeah,
from 1 into 4.
Yes.
See what that looks like.
Okay, so it looks like we still pass a deviation test.
We're still in there. Any concerns, objections about that? We definitely heard Montebello, and this goes back several weeks, actually, several weeks of testimony about Montebello being associated with, or having a lot of commonalities with other communities in the San Gabriel Valley, including Monterey Park, et cetera. Any concerns anyone has? Okay, and then Commissioner Haile Soto, the other thing was the La Habra Heights. Well, we didn't resolve that actually. So you're saying we should move La Habra Heights into District 4? Or you wanted to keep it in District 1 because that's where it is now?
I have done Commerce, didn't you, Commissioner Haile Soto?
No, we've done that already.
Yeah, Commerce is done. I moved La Habra Heights. I understood that La Habra Heights wanted to be moved away from Hacienda Heights and Rolling Heights.
Into
but
District
4. They didn't say any district particularly, just said they weren't familiar or similar to Hacienda Heights and Rolling Heights.
Okay,
so the only district you could go to is just 4.
Right.
They did say not in District 1, La Habra Heights.
Okay, so
not in District 1.
Okay, any objections to that?
No.
Let's see what happens with that. Ty. Still okay.
Yep, we are still okay.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on, Commissioner Kenny, then Commissioner Saira Soto.
Yes, I would like the Palos Verdes Peninsula to be moved into District 2. The reason is that the Palos Verdes Peninsula is very interconnected with Torrance.
And which
so there are 4 cities: Palos Verdes Estates, Rancho Palos Verdes, Rolling Hills, and Rolling Hills Estates.
And then the unincorporated.
Oh yeah, I guess there are a couple of unincorporated areas.
Okay. Is that correct, Commissioner?
Yes.
What does that do?
So District 2 has a lot. Yes, we would not pass the deviation test.
So that's why I moved Carson into District 4. But I really feel very strongly about Palos Verdes.
So what would happen if you move Carson into District 4?
And then we would pass the deviation test. Commissioners, are we keeping those changes?
Are there objections?
Well, I think the problem now is West Carson is now separated from Carson. I believe we got testimony that West Carson wanted to be with Carson.
You could move it.
Go ahead.
Moving it, we will be fine with deviation.
Okay. Any objections?
Now, are we in compliance?
Still in compliance.
Yes, I believe we are
Okay.
still in compliance. Okay, so if there are no objections, I'll move on to Commissioner Sandra Soto.
I'm looking forward to hearing from the public on those changes because I want to make sure we're not, again, diluting historic communities' voting power. But I did want to share, with moving commerce out of District 1, there's a small area of commerce that is actually a really important area for the East LA area. And so if you can zoom in a little bit into that almost rectangle pyramid-like, which is like right between Gerhardt and Goodrich and Whittier, that there, right? That area there along Whittier there's a shopping center. It's called the Commerce Shopping Center, and it is a really important area for East LA because there's grocery stores, other important I think stores that provide basic necessities to the community. But in addition to that, it is an area that is challenging in terms of, I think, trash and other types of pollution, traffic concerns. And so while I'm not asking for the change now, I do hope that community gives input on what moving commerce into a different district from East LA might mean in terms of being able to have representation on issues and impact of that particular area of commerce. That's it.
We've made some tweaks. We are now in compliance with map 66. Co-Chair Williams, your motion was to adopt 66 as map G, map option G. I assume these tweaks are okay with you and your motion still stands.
It stands. Definitely want to hear from the public on district on this map for sure.
So I believe it's been moved and seconded to move forward with 66 as option G, 65 as F1, and 64 as B2, and move those forward for public comment for our hearing, upcoming public hearing. Any further discussion? All right, let's take a vote.
So commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I will now take roll call. Commissioner Franklin?
Yes.
Commissioner Holtzman?
I'll abstain.
Commissioner Kenny?
Yes.
Co-Chair Maeda?
Aye.
Commissioner Mendoza?
Aye.
Commissioner Morales?
Yes.
Commissioner Obregon?
Yes.
Commissioner Orbanella Segura?
Yes.
Commissioner Haile Soto,
Yes.
Commissioner Saida Soto,
Yes.
Commissioner Stetcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Vento,
Yes.
Co-Chair Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Wong,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. And we'll try to get with the working group, Co-Chair Williams, and see if a meeting can be held to before the public hearing on Wednesday to make further tweaks to address some of these issues. I know there's someone who made a comment in the Q&A, but there's other public comments that we've received about these maps and the need to make additional tweaks, and we want to at least consider those. Okay, is there any other? Yes, Gayla.
So Co-Chair Maeda, we make a strong commitment to try to get anything posted like this 24 hours in advance. So they would have to meet tomorrow because we also need to post them on the window and doors of the Hall of Administration. So that needs to be done by 5. So I might suggest it's not realistic to rush it, but instead get public feedback Wednesday night, and then maybe have the ad hoc working group meet, on Thursday or Friday to then incorporate those changes as well.
That's probably more sensible.
Yeah, that works.
Workable.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other business before we move to the next agenda item? Okay, thank you, everybody. We're definitely making progress. So I appreciate all your work. Next agenda item, I think is Co-Chair Williams.
Yeah, and the next
There's
agenda
one
item.
before that.
Yeah, it's a discussion and looking at forming an ad hoc working group to review a draft year-end technical report. So this is a report that's required as part of the commission's work. It's already drafted there, but it is a work in progress, but we are looking at an ad hoc working group that would continue to look at it and provide a final review of the document. There's input from the co-chairs are working on it. We're looking at it. Gayla's done the draft. There will be Holly has an overview, and there will be pieces of it that will still need to be developed. It will be presented to the entire commission for approval before the 15th, before our last meeting. So we're looking at volunteers. If you're interested in being a part of this ad hoc working group, to let the co-chairs know. Kayla, do you want to say anything about it?
I think you cover it. What I've been preparing throughout the year is sort of an historic documentation of all your work. So there's the executive summary, the body of the report, and then a lot of the appendices and attachments are documents you have already approved, such as your outreach plan or your calendar for the year. There will also be a section that Bruce and Jonathan will be preparing on their racially polarized voting. And the big heavy lifting for this technical working group is to read the historic to see if there's anything missing or modifications and changes. Once you adopt a map, we will have to very quickly pull together the justification for your final plan to be added to this report. And that will be then justification against the criteria that you've been using all along. So it's really 2 parts, reading the historical one, and then we will have this quick turnaround when the final map is adopted, and then the full commission can look at the report, or we can have it on a Google Doc for any commissioners to look at while it's still being worked on.
And the important piece, as Gayla has mentioned, is for us to make sure we're documenting and explaining decisions we're making, as well as all the other information, supporting documentation, how we were formed, et cetera, et cetera.
We want to make sure that the record will show that the adopted map is in full compliance.
So we're open for clarifying questions.
Commissioner Holtzman and Commissioner Morales.
I am reading the section of the Elections Code which mandates this report. It says, the commission shall issue with the final map a report that explains the basis on which the commission made its decisions in achieving compliance with the criteria described that we know about, described in subdivision A and B of that section 21.534. I'm a little uncomfortable with calling it a technical report. I'm wondering if we could call it the report on the basis of decisions made to achieve compliance with criteria described in law, or basis of compliance decisions. I don't think the report has to go into the whole history of all the things we've done, but it certainly, according to law, has to focus on those criteria that we had to meet from the statute. I'll just respond to what Co-Chair Maeda said, and I'm so glad we still have Councillor Adelson on the line. Councillor Addison pointed out that the record is not this report. Last time we talked with him, I think. The record is everything. The record is the recordings of the meetings, the correspondence that's gone on, and things like that. So I think this report needs to be focused and not overbroad. And I think the technical, just calling it technical report is a turnoff to people. They'll hear technical report and think it's not something they have to read, but it's really important to document that we how we made our decisions, the basis we made our decisions about compliance with the mandatory criteria.
All right.
Commissioner.
Wait, yeah.
Go ahead, Morales.
Thank you. So I was just going to say, we should definitely have representation from each of the ad hoc working groups created along the way, because, you know, we're laser focused in our own lane. And so it'd be great to be able to have, not everybody needs to be part of this process, but we should have at least one representative from each of those groups.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, clarifying questions, comments?
I mean, I guess my question was, can we call it something else other than technical report?
You know, I think we're open to that. I think right now it's a work in progress, so the name can be developed. You know, maybe that it could be something else. Okay, Commissioner Tai, who's next?
Yeah, Commissioner Wong.
Yeah, I just wanted to, thank you, find out, obviously, if it's a working group, it has to be, I guess, less than 8 people. And also, do you have any sense of, let's say, the time commitment for this? It's unclear, you know, how much is written and how long the report is. And I'm just trying to get a sense of what the work might entail, the time commitment.
There is, maybe you can have Galen look at that. I know that the co-chairs will be part of that working group. So that means there would be a max of 6 additional commissioners.
Really 4 additional. I don't know.
4 additional, thank you.
Beyond 6.
4 additional, so 4 additional commissioners. There is a lot of it already put together. Gayla, you want to come in on?
I can comment on the length.
I beg your pardon?
I can comment on the length.
Okay, go ahead.
So the executive summary is really what typically the public will read. And that's probably going to be sort of the heart, because that really has to contain the exact points that Commissioner Holtzman covered, which was not only the background, but the map you've chosen and the evaluation against the criteria. So figure that's going to be probably 25 pages. The body of the report that gives a history has built-in links to your website, your YouTubes, and all of that. So we have an integrated record of everything you have. And right now that's probably about 90 pages. The attachments are probably about another 80 or 90 pages, but those are documents you've already read and approved.
There's already a draft of the executive summary, so it's not starting from scratch. So that's a updating of that, looking at it, seeing if everything's included or what's missing for that.
Yeah, I'd appreciate just the extra set of eyes to make sure we've covered the key points. to go through it, as we've done with the outreach plan, where we drafted it, the ad hoc working group on outreach then added great value to make it that much stronger.
Commissioner Holtzman?
So why does all that history have to be in this report? To me, just reproducing stuff we've already seen, having summaries of meetings or whatever, all those 90 pages seem to be, I would say that those would be a real distraction from preparing the report we're required to prepare by the Elections Code 21534 D3. If you want to commission a history report to supplement the record, that's fine. But don't talk about a history report as something we're required to submit with this map, because we're not. I think we should focus first on the criteria here. There's 6 in the subdivision A, with the A and B in one, and then there's how we complied with the last one about not considering supervisors or candidates places of residence. I think let's if we're going to be asked to do work on this in a hurry, I think the commissioners should be asked to should mainly focus on the thing we have to get done per statute, and not this idea of an expanded record. So what do you say to that?
I just want to note those things are already there, so they don't have to. The working group will not have to be compiling those things. Those pieces are already there as a part of the report. So again,
but that's not as part of the required report. That would be a report to be issued separately. The required report should be the basis of decisions made to achieve compliance with the criteria in the law, not a whole history or whatever documents and previous maps. We need to just laser focus on the required task, and I think a history report would be separate. And I don't know. I even if those things are already there, I don't think I don't think we should be asked to spend time right now proofreading it.
Okay, so noted. Who's next?
Commissioner Stetcher, then Commissioner Orpanello Seguro.
I put our legal expert on the spot and ask him from the point of view of defending our decision in court, whether one type of record or the other type of record we've been talking about would be enhance or detract from its defensibility.
Commissioner, I appreciate your question. I can't, of course, comment on whatever your California election code requires. I'll defer to my general counsel colleague about that. Listening to this, one of the things that I was thinking about is 10 years ago, as you know, Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act was still federal law. And in making Section 5 submissions to the Department of Justice, those Section 5 submissions sound a lot like you're talking about, that where everything was included to show DOJ that there was no VRA violation and that we were meeting the procedural requirements of Section 5. So ever since this discussion has begun, that's what I was thinking about. This report sounds very similar to that. I think that providing one-stop shopping, in a sense, there's one source that is comprehensive and explains the things that we've talked about before, I think can be helpful. Again, whether or not that complies with your election code is something that I'm going to defer to Holly about. But this sounds very much like the 100+ page Section 5 submissions that we did in Arizona, or submission that we did 10 years ago.
It's not part of law anymore, Section 5.
No, but that's something that the Supreme Court looked at our submission a lot. In oral argument and in briefing, that was something that was regularly referred to. I'm just using that as an analogy to what you all are talking about.
Was there room for a minority report from commissioners who did not agree with the official report?
Well, as I recall, the Section 5 submission included how commissioners voted on various aspects of mapping, but I don't recall there being a minority report. I don't think the Section 5 regulations really encompass that.
Okay.
Thank you, Bruce.
Sure.
Commissioner Orpanela Segura, then Co-Chair Maeda.
Yes, I think they're all great questions, but perhaps the working group can discuss what to do. So I think we should maybe consider pushing this agenda forward. So if there's not a motion or if there's no discussion left, I'm happy to make a motion to form an ad hoc working group.
We actually have to have see if there's public comment first
Yeah.
on that, but I appreciate that. What I was going to say is something similar. The working group could evaluate these kinds of issues, but unless there's any more clarifying questions, let's see if there's public comment, and then we'll return to vote on to see if there's a motion to form a working group, which is really the agenda item is.
Thanks, Dan. Ty, can we see if there are public comments?
Yes, we have one public comment from Chris Rowe. So Chris, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Thank you, commissioners. I am aware, even though you're independent, and I respect your independence, the City of Los Angeles Redistricting Commission sent a 3,249 page document to the City of Los Angeles for the city to redraw the lines. I realize that what you say is final, but what I'm saying is that you have done so much work, and because what it sounds like from listening to the chairs and to Gala, that a lot of it has been captured already. So I do recommend, you don't necessarily have to call it the technical report, but I do recommend that you have a comprehensive report that justifies why you made the changes that you did. And again, anything that you can use to defend yourself legally, as Bruce was saying, and I see Holly sitting there as well. So thank you for your time. I really am interested in where you end up. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. With that, I believe we have no other. Would you like to close the public comment for 5B?
Okay, thank you, Ty. So we have a motion. Can just repeat that motion that was made by Commissioner, I think.
Commissioner Priscilla Orpanela Segura made a motion to form an ad hoc working group to work on the technical report, to review the technical report.
Do we have a second?
Second. Oh.
I see Commissioner Stetcher. I saw Commissioner Stetcher's hand.
Go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, great. Any other questions before we go to a vote? Comments?
Commissioner Holtzman?
I'd like to amend the motion to say technical report or report of the basis of decisions made to achieve compliance with criteria described in law as required by Elections Code section 21534 D3.
Okay, it's my understanding, do we vote on the amendment?
Well, you have to, is there a second?
Okay, second. I see Commissioner Stetcher. Second. Okay, now it's my understanding we vote on the amendment to that emotion or not emotion to that motion or
Yes,
okay.
we take a vote on that, and if it passes, then that extinguishes the original.
Okay. Any questions on that? Ty, can you call the roll, please?
Of course. Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic. Commissioner Holtzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenny?
Yes.
Co-Chair Maeda?
No.
Commissioner Mendoza?
No.
Commissioner Morales?
No.
Commissioner Obregon?
No.
Commissioner Orpanela Segura?
No.
Commissioner Haile Soto?
No.
Commissioner Sandra Soto,
No.
Commissioner Stetcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Vento,
No.
Co-Chair Williams,
No.
Commissioner Wong,
No.
Commissioner Franklin.
Abstain.
Motion fails.
Okay. And I think we go back to the original motion. Ty, can we call the roll on that?
Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic. Commissioner Kenny,
Yes.
Co-Chair Maeda,
Aye.
Commissioner Mendoza,
Aye.
Commissioner Morales,
Yes.
Commissioner Obregon,
Yes.
Commissioner Orpanel Segura,
Yes.
Commissioner Hela Soto,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandra Soto,
Yes.
Commissioner Stetcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Vento,
Yes.
Co-Chair Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Wong,
Yes.
Commissioner Franklin,
Yes.
Commissioner Holtzman.
Abstain.
Motion passes.
Okay, great. So we've voted and approved the establishment of an ad hoc working group to work and review this report. And we are asking if you're interested to let the co-chairs know. So with that, we will move to the executive director's report.
Very quickly, I just want to remind the public about Wednesday. That will be public hearing number 3. It's a special meeting. It will start at 6:30. And then the last public hearing will be on December 7th, which is a Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. as well. We do want to remind for the public hearings, you do need to sign up by 8 p.m. and the commission will make sure that your oral comments get heard. And that is it for the executive director report. And I see Commissioner Franklin's hand is up.
Yes. I really want to stress the fact of diverse public comments. We've heard from certain communities overwhelmingly, but I'm sorry to say, from the African American community, I've been disappointed in the lack of participation in public comments, either written or verbally. I know the outreach committee, ad hoc committee, has done an exceptional job reaching out to everyone, and even the faith-based communities and the churches. And so I hope that we get more public comments, verbally and or written, from the African American community. Thank you.
You're here. And with that, we are adjourned at 10:11. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.